Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeanette Ortiz, and I would like to call this meeting of the Anne Arundel County Police Accountability Board to order. It is 6:30 p.m. on Monday, June 24th. All right, before we get into the substance of our meeting, I'd like the approval of the minutes of our May 20 meeting. The audio recording of the May 20 meeting of the PAB will serve as the minutes for that meeting. You may find that audio recording on the Anne Arundel County Police Accountability Board webpage on the Anne Arundel County website. At the May meeting, we received a legislative update as well as an ACC update and information on ACC case trends, amongst other things. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for the May meeting of the board?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, great. The minutes are approved. So we'll go ahead and move on to public comment. We did not have any advanced signups. I'm just looking here. I only see one attendee. Is there anyone who would like to provide public comment at this time? I don't see anyone. All right, I'll circle back later if there are more attendees, just to give folks a chance to provide public comment if they so desire to. Okay, we will move on. So first on the agenda, we invited Corporal Caitlin Stanley, who's the Anne Arundel County Police Department's LGBTQ liaison, to speak to us, to the board today in honor of Pride Month. We thought it would be great to have her come and speak to us. So I will turn the floor over to Corporal Stanley, and we ask for you to share the work that you're doing in the community. And then if there are any questions after the presentation, we will take questions at that time. Thank you so much for being here today. Oh, I think she's connecting to audio, so let me hang tight here. Corporal Stanley, I don't know if you heard me, but you are welcome to the PAB meeting this evening. Thank you so much for being here and being willing to speak to us about the work that you're doing in the community as the LGBTQ liaison. And whenever you are ready, you are free to share that information with us. Oh, it looks like I went out of order. Sorry, Jen. I had I have summer brain.
Okay.
Sorry. So we'll come back to Corporal Stanley. We'll go first. I had it, my agenda does not match your agenda. So my apologies. We'll go now to updates from the Office of Police Accountability. Ms. Jen Rogers will provide that update this evening. Thank you, Jen, for setting.
Yep, no problem. Yep. Moya extends her apologies for not being able to attend, but she had something that came up. So I just wanted to update everybody. We had our first trial board in early June, and right now we're just waiting on the decision back from the ALJ. We have 3 additional trial boards that are scheduled in August. Only one of them is an ACC decided case. The other 2 are just incidents that where the officer requested a trial board, but the ACC did not review that case. The next ACC meeting is July 1st. Right now they have 10 pending cases involving 17 officers. So their July is pretty packed already, and we haven't even gotten there yet. And then just a side note on the trial boards, we've had a fair amount that were scheduled that were supposed to happen. Right now it's looking like only 20% are going to the actual trial board on the day of, and an ALJ is making the decision. So I know it's still early, but just something to be mindful of as we progress. And then just finally, I wanted to thank Sarah, Barney, and Kim for their service. This is their last meeting on the PB. So I don't know if we want to give a round of applause. So thank you guys so much for your service. And that's all I had.
Thank you so much, Jen. Thank you for that update and for
No problem.
noting that we will be losing a couple of our amazing board members, and I'll definitely give you guys a shout out and let you have an opportunity to say a few words if you'd like at the end of the meeting. Are there any questions for Jen and her update regarding trial board and ACC cases? I don't see any hands. Okay. All right. Thank you, Jen. Really appreciate that update. And then I think we lost Corporal Stanley.
Yeah, she just sent me a note. She's having technical difficulties, so she's going to email me her presentation and call in, and I'll just share my screen.
Okay. Do we want to move forward with the LEA updates or just hold tight if we think we can get her on in the next minute or two? You know what I'll do since we're waiting for Corporal Stanley at this time, I guess. So Jen mentioned this is the last meeting for a few of our fellow board members, Sarah, Barney, and Kimberly. And we are very grateful for your time on the board. And just want to give you this time if you wanted to say a couple of things of your, your experience on the PAB, be nice. Please feel free. You have an opportunity to do that now.
Well, it's been an honor. Thank you very much, Jeanette. It's been a real honor to be involved in this initial maiden voyage of the Police Accountability Board. And I'm so grateful to have participated in its very rigorous training. And I hope that I was able to bring something special to the experience being a former prosecutor, being a law professor, and also teaching in the police trooper a program that we have at AACC. I'm at a loss for words. You said you have a summer brain. I have a summer work brain, so it's even worse. But it's been a real honor, and I thank you very much for your leadership and all of my fellow members. Have a wonderful rest of your summer, and I know good things will come from the PAB going forward. So I know it's in good hands. You all take care, and thank you so much.
Thanks, Kim. We appreciate those remarks. And yes, it has been wonderful having you on the board and having your perspective and your insight has been very valuable to me, and I know to others on the board. Sarah, it's your last PAB meeting, and for those who may not know, Sarah was I can't believe she still talks to me, but she was kind enough to be my designee on the Administrative Charging Committee, the ACC, and as we've heard in other meetings, and as Jen shared with us this evening, they have a lot going on. They're very, very busy. And so I've said it before, I'll say it again. Thank you so much for taking on that responsibility because I know it was a lot and I'm very grateful. And maybe you'll actually let me take you out to dinner now. But thank you so much for all the effort, all the work and your feedback on the PAB and all the work that I know that you've been doing on the ACC. Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, am I unmuted? I can't tell because I'm on my phone right now. Can you hear me? Awesome. Yeah, so I wasn't sure what I got into when I agreed or volunteered or offered to participate in all of this process. I learned a lot. I did spend a lot of time, more time with the ACC than the PAB. It was valuable. I do believe it was productive, well-spent time. I think it is good, hard work. I encourage everybody in the community to get involved. There are lots of ways to get involved in both the ACC and the PAB. I do think it is valuable work. I think we've just begun. I don't see an end. I feel like this is uphill, and we're just starting what is an amazing journey. And I'm very happy to have been involved in the creation in the building. I hope to be involved again later. I'm happy to be breaking off to do some other personal endeavors, but I thank all of you for allowing me to be a part of it. Jeanette, I thank you for allowing me to participate in the ACC. I feel like I had some valuable input, and I really enjoyed the ride. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And your experience as a former police officer, the work that you do now for the school system, has been so valuable on the PAB and just giving us insight, those of us who've never worked for a law enforcement agency or work closely with them, in our jobs now. Your expertise, your experience, your insight, your thoughtfulness has been very, very instrumental and valuable to the PAB. So thank you for that. And I know for the ACC as well, you definitely, for me, I feel like we're like our moral compass and making sure that we were asking the hard questions and, demanding certain information and making sure that, everyone was aligned and that we were working collaboratively, obviously with the agencies, but that we were, working towards the goal of this, what the PAB and the ACC, why they were established, why there was a police accountability law that was passed. And so I know that I'm very grateful for all of your insight and feedback. So thank you. And I don't see Barney. Maybe he will hop on. And if he does hop on later, hopefully, I will certainly give him an opportunity to chime in as well. All right. Well, thank you, ladies. And now we'll move on to Corporal Stanley. I know you've been having some technical issues. Hopefully you are okay now. Thank you so much for coming before the board today and speaking to us about the work that you're doing as the LGBTQ liaison for the Anne Arundel County Police Department. We look forward to learning about, the work that you're doing. And if there are any questions, we'll save them for the end of your presentation. Thank you. The floor is yours. Can't hear you.
Did you dial in by phone? I think I have to give you permission to talk, and now you're muted, so you just need to unmute yourself.
Looks like it's connecting. There's like a weird little white X next to her name, Jem. I've never seen that before.
I don't have that.
Jen, can you unmute her phone line?
I
Since you're
can
the
ask
host?
her to unmute, but I can't unmute her.
So weird. Oh, because it's via phone.
What is it? Star
Yeah.
6 to unmute on the phone? Star 6?
How about now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep, we got
Okay.
you.
All right.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, and I apologize. I'm having issues with my speaker and my computer, so thank you for your patience. And thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's really nice to meet you all virtually, and hopefully I can meet some of you in person in the future. I did put together a short PowerPoint just to show you all a little bit about what I've done thus far in the position and just a little bit of background on myself as well. So hopefully sharing my screen will work here. All right, everybody can see it?
Yep, looks
Okay,
good.
great.
Yep.
So for those that don't already know me, my name is Kate Stanley. I'm a corporal with the Anne Arundel County Police Department. I've been with the agency for about 8 years now, and I serve two primary roles here, one of which I am the lead traffic officer at our Southern District down in Edgewater. So I handle any sort of traffic complaints that happen down in South County, which keeps me pretty busy. And in addition to that, I am our agency's LGBTQ+ liaison. I've been in the liaison role now for about 3.5 years. The position was appointed in 2019. There was a liaison prior to myself who passed the torch, so to speak. Honestly, we hit kind of a wall during COVID and it kind of stopped our progression. But I was very happy and honored to be appointed as the current liaison. And I've been really proud and happy with the work that I've been able to do thus far, and I'm very lucky to work for an agency that's supportive and progressive
and understands the importance of having the liaison role here in our community. So a lot of people ask me on a daily basis, what are my duties as the liaison? So put together a little list here and I'll talk about each one. First and foremost, a role model for the law enforcement profession to the LGBTQ+ community. I care a lot about the history between the police and the LGBTQ community, and it's really important to me, which is one of the main reasons that I wanted to become the liaison, because, you know, there's still a lot of people in the LGBTQ+ community that don't have trust in the police, based off of events that happened in the 1950s and the 60s. And even though I was not police in the 50s and 60s, I am today, and that's my opportunity to, you know, build a good relationship, get my face out there, get out in the community as much as I can to show, you know, Anne Arundel County and surrounding agencies that we have this position appointed, and when we care. So being that role model is not only to the community, but it's also to the LGBTQ members within our agency, which piggybacks onto I am the point of contact with organizations or individuals who reach out to the police department, whether that's for participating in community events or even if somebody needs to report an incident or a crime. As I mentioned previously, there is still a little bit of mistrust between the two communities. So when a member of the LGBTQ community knows that our agency has a liaison program, and they could be the victim of a crime or the friend of a victim, they feel more comfortable coming forward to myself rather than just calling 911 and having your average patrol officer respond. And we found that with that being an option for members of the community, they're a lot more forthcoming and comfortable talking about what they've experienced with somebody that they know is a member of the community themselves. It builds kind of that unspoken bond knowing, okay, you know, I've had my own personal experiences. I've been a police officer long enough that I can understand how crimes and incidents impact people negatively. And, you know, that's my opportunity to, not just as Corporal Stanley, but as Kate behind the badge, to say, look, I'm sorry that you've experienced this. I want to be here for you however I can be, whether that's on the department side or even just, you know, lending an ear for them to listen to. Assisting with recruiting for the agency, that's a big part of my position as well. You know, like I said, we want to get the word out to potential, you know, employment opportunities, even if that's our civilians or, you know, our sworn members of the agency as well, being able to get the word out that, hey, the Anne Arundel County Police has this liaison position. You know, we've had it for several years and it's continuing to grow. And we think that's a pro. That would be a reason that somebody who, you know, is a member of the LGBTQ community would want to come and work for us and work with us. So any opportunity we get to, you know, send myself and some other LGBTQ officers out to an event to advertise and to talk to people face to face about, you know, what am I doing on a daily basis and what have my experiences been, you know, as a police officer coming through the police academy as an LGBTQ member. And, you know, I'm proud to say that I've been supported since day one with the Anne Arundel County Police. So another large portion of my duties, assisting with investigations as a resource or a reference. A lot of that has to do with working very closely with our school resource officers. You know, they're interacting with the youth on a daily basis, and they see some of the struggles that these kids are going through. And, you know, I can think back to when I was in middle school and high school and figuring out who I am as a person and what I want to do with my life. You know, I didn't really have a great role model myself. So I hope and strive to be that for a young kid, to show them, look, like, you can do it. You can get through this tough stuff. There's people here to help you, including myself. And again, that's in the uniform, out of the uniform. I'm here to help either way. So getting involved in the schools has been a big thing. The SROs, they call me all the time to ask me questions, because, you know, hopefully you all have seen too with your experiences with our agency, you know, we strive ourselves on being respectful and, you know, treating everybody fairly and equally. So I'll have officers call me and just say, hey, you know, I have a student in my school they identify as transgender, I want to make sure that I'm addressing them appropriately. You know, can you walk me through the pronouns, because I don't want to be offensive and I want to respect, you know, who they are. And it's as simple as that. You know, I tell the officers here quite frequently, like, if you have a question, even if you think it's silly or that it might be offensive to me, that's why I'm in this role, because they're not going to be offensive to me. I would rather have them ask me before they say it to a citizen who, you know, might get offended by it. That also piggybacks too on helping out detectives with investigations. You know, sometimes they might be interviewing a member of the community and they want to make sure that they feel safe. So I've had times where I've gone and sat in on interviews just to kind of be there as that representative from the community and also from the police side, just to add a little bit of comfort to the situation for the detectives and for the individual that's being interviewed or questioned. So anytime detectives need assistance with that, I am more than happy to assist them. And again, we've had good feedback when we've done things like that. And then additionally, a point of contact for any department members who themselves are members of the community. You know, there are a few of us in the agency, and we very heavily rely on each other. You know, I hold the title of the liaison, but it doesn't mean that I'm doing all the work myself. I have a lot of officers that I know I can reach out to. For example, you know, maybe there's a young male who is looking for an adult male role model. Well, obviously I can't fulfill that, but I know who I could call right away and say, hey, can you do me this solid and reach out and assist with this, you know, with this kid that needs some help. And that's been really successful as well. But it's also for, you know, even the officers that aren't necessarily members of the community, but maybe they have a family member that's recently come out to them and they want to be able to support them, and they're just looking for additional resources, or, you know, somebody to ask those hard questions to. You know, they can certainly come to me and I can talk to them myself or refer them to community meetings in the county. Just really whatever I can do to offer a hand and make the situation comfortable for everybody involved. And again, a resource to our agency on up-to-date policies involving the LGBTQ community, you know, if there's changes in the laws or, you know, any pertinent information in regards to interacting with the LGBTQ community. It's my responsibility to make sure that that information is pushed out to our officers. Obviously, participating in community events and outreach is a big thing. Obviously, it's June, so it's Pride Month. I've been pretty busy trying to get out to as many of the events as I can. You know, library events, local, you know, the Pride Parade, the festival, and that's not just in Anne Arundel County you know, that's not just in Anne Arundel County. If there's outside agencies or surrounding events that are occurring that we're invited to, I do my best to try to, you know, get my face out there as well, because again, that's an opportunity for me to say, hey, you know, I'm not from Baltimore County, I don't work in Baltimore County, but I work in Anne Arundel and we have this liaison program and it's really great. You should come work with me. So any opportunity to get that word out is great, and I try to take advantage of that. And then just responsible for providing training to personnel on LGBTQ related issues. You know, we talk about things that happen in the media. It might not necessarily have happened here in Anne Arundel County or in Maryland, but it's important for us to know about it. You know, we look at that as any incident that involves law enforcement, whether it's here or on the West Coast, people tend to group us all together. So that's our opportunity to say, look, we want to be aware, and we want the community to know that we're paying attention to what's going on elsewhere. And, you know, I'll have people that call me, they find my phone number online, and they call me to say, hey, do you know what's going on over in California? Or did you hear about this protest, or what happened at this Pride event? It's important for me to be aware and to spread that knowledge to the best of my ability. So when I was asked to speak with you all, one of the things that they were asked of me was, how does my liaison position intersect with the PAB? So I spent some time thinking about that, and really it just comes down to the fact that our agency is here to serve all people, members of the LGBTQ community, and they're there, right? They're in every race, every nationality, every ethnicity, and that's across the world. So, you know, for people that say, well, we don't have a large community here in Anne Arundel County, they're not paying attention. But the big thing that I like to stress to the officers that I train and speak to about this is that the biggest difference between members of the LGBTQ community and, you know, certain races or ethnicities is that it's an invisible difference, right? You can't always look at a person that identifies as such in the community and know that that's how they identify. So regardless of what they look like, what they're wearing, what they're experiencing, where they live, what their income is, it doesn't matter. We are there to help them however they need help. And, you know, I can't stress that to the officers enough. And I have to remember, too, that LGBTQ people are not just in the community that we serve, but they're our side partners. You know, we go to work with these people every day, whether they are out and open about it or, you know, they're struggling internally. We have to remember that, you know, that's my side partner that I'm going to 911 calls with, and I don't know what they're going through unless they feel comfortable in an agency that allows them to be themselves. And I think that if you speak to any officer that works with us or for us, they would agree that, you know, we don't have any discrimination like that. We accept people for who they are, regardless of who they love, what, you know, what they're wearing when they're off duty, how they spend their free time. You know, we come together and we work really well with one another. So really being the liaison and representing our agency is making sure that our officers are being held accountable, right? And how do we do that? We provide proper training on incidences, not necessarily only involving LGBTQ people, but across the board, investigating hate crimes, interacting with transgender individuals, you know, making sure you're addressing people appropriately and respectfully. Last year, we have annual in-service training every year, which is required for every single officer in the agency to attend in order to renew their ability to continue to be a police officer. So last year, I actually taught the entire police department a presentation. It took me about 2.5 hours, and it was about the importance of these things, you know, talking about the LGBTQ history between that community and the police department, why we are where we are, why we established a liaison position and the importance of it, and, you know, touching base on how do you interact with a person that's transgender. Is it important for you to know that they're transgender depending on the type of call for service that you're responding to, right? Asking those questions and, you know, being respectful. You may not necessarily understand exactly what the person's going through, but it's our job to be empathetic and to be reassuring and say, look, we're going to do our due diligence to investigate this incident and bring it to closure, whether that's, you know, arresting someone, applying for charges, or if it's just an incident where no crime has occurred, documenting it appropriately. So as I mentioned, a big part of that is just making sure that every police officer is up to date with current laws and policies relating to the community. And in addition to that, you know, if we do have an officer who fails to meet these standards and they end up being investigated by our internal affairs section, you know, then they'll reach out to me and provide like one-on-one training. Why did you find yourself in this incident? You know, really digging into the details and finding out what happened and why this turned into a concern or a complaint, and hopefully working through that resolution. And sometimes people just need to have that face-to-face one-on-one conversation with me, and it makes things a little bit more comfortable and hopefully would prevent any further issues occurring. So with that, goals for the future with the position. I work every day, like I said, to try to get my face out there to meet new people, spread the word about my position here. And a lot of that goes with reaching out to other liaisons from surrounding agencies, right? My goal is to eventually kind of get us all together and meet quarterly and kind of talk about, hey, what's going on in your county? What's going on in our county? What can I do to support you and vice versa? Because I think that's really beneficial for us to come together and bounce things off one another to improve the program. I would like to initiate a safe space program in Anne Arundel County. This is a program that I know for sure Baltimore County has, but it's essentially me and maybe some other LGBTQ officers going around to local businesses, affirming churches, really any business that we can get into and say, hey, look, if we have a member of the LGBTQ community that's a victim of a crime, say like in your parking lot, or, you know, somewhere in the surrounding area, there's a sticker that they can put on the front window of their business that says, hey, this is a safe space. And that helps the LGBTQ community know, hey, if I need help, I can go into this business. I'm safe here, and I know this is where I can go to get help. It's been very prominent and successful in other agencies that have it. I actually just learned about this last week, so that's like one of the things I'm working on right now to get rolling. I think it'd be really great for our community to know that our businesses in the county are supportive of that. Continuing to build relationships with local organizations. Again, you know, the opportunity to go into a business one-on-one, talk to the owner, the manager, and say, look, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, you know, introducing them to the Safe Space program and hoping that, you know, we can get them signed up and go forward from there and continue that relationship and say, hey, you know, I got a question, whether it's LGBTQ related or not, I can reach out to Corporal Stanley. It's really important to me to get that information out there. And then just increasing our presence on social media platforms. You know, everybody today is pretty much on social media in one form or another, especially our youth, right? So I think that the opportunity to have a strong social media presence is a great way, especially to get out this information to our youth if they need a resource or they need to reach out, especially if they're feeling like they have nowhere else to go or nobody else to reach out to. You know, a lot of times it seems like our youth is a lot more comfortable behind a keyboard rather than a face-to-face conversation, and that's totally fine with me. If they want to IM or email back and forth or, you know, Facebook Messenger, whatever you want to call it, I'm totally fine with that, just to make them comfortable, right? So that's pretty much all I have. I know I went a little bit long there, but my last slide is just my contact information. And I believe I'm going to send the PDF version of this PowerPoint over to the board so they can have it as well. But thank you for your time. And again, I think we're going to save questions till the end, but I'll be here. So.
Thank you so much for that information and that presentation. That was very, very helpful. And I know I learned a few things myself. And so questions are, we can take questions now since it's the end of your presentation. If you want to stop sharing, there we go, your screen. Are there any questions for Corporal Stanley from the board? I don't see any hands. You were so thorough in your presentation. I have a couple. So if anyone thinks of any when I'm done, certainly feel free to ask. So, you know, you talked about the importance of your colleagues to understand the history of law enforcement with the LGBTQ community and things that happened in the 50s and 60s and kind of, you know, relationship now, and there might still be some distrust within the community. During your time as the liaison, I know we had COVID there, so, you know, it may not be like an accurate gauge, but do you find that having, you know, someone in this role, whether it's you or your colleague before you, has been helpful in, you know, kind of bridging those gaps within the community and the police agency?
Absolutely. Like I said, the more I can get myself out there and introduce, you know, who I am, what I do for the agency. You know, at the beginning when we first established the position, it was very much like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that that was a thing in the police department. And that's my opportunity to say, well, this is why we established this position and the importance of it. And I would say overall, the feedback that I've gotten has been very good, you know, especially from the LGBTQ community. You know, it means a lot to say, okay, this is a police agency that recognizes the importance of this role because of history and because of events that have occurred. And, you know, even though we're in the 2020s now and nobody that's police today was police back then, you know, regardless of if they're in the community or not, it's our opportunity to continue building that trust. Obviously, there's going to be people that are never going to like us. And, you know, we're kind of used to that, to be honest. So regardless of what agency you work for or what you do within the department, people see the uniform and they get intimidated by that, and it's understandable. Which is another, point that I like to bring up too is, when I go out to these places and when I participate in community events, like I don't wear my full bulletproof vest and I don't wear my full gun belt. I have the tools that I need to keep myself safe, and God forbid there is an incident that happens. But I understand that it's very intimidating to some people, so I try to just dress it down and make it a little bit more comfortable for myself and everybody else. And if any of you have been to the Pride parades the last couple of years, you've probably noticed, like, yes, we have a banner that says we're the police, and we have T-shirts made, but nobody's in uniform, because we understand that can come off as a little bit intimidating and harsh to some people, and we do our best not to be that way. So, yeah.
Thank you. My second question relates to your position and other agencies. You mentioned that you might go to a different county for a Pride event, and get your name out there and share what the Anne Arundel County Police Department is doing as it relates to LGBTQ plus relations in the community. Are there several other law enforcement agencies around the state that have such a position? And if so, do you all meet on a regular basis, to kind of share best practices and collaborate on different things?
Yes, so there are quite a few other agencies that have established the position. Obviously, being here in Anne Arundel County, and especially working out of Southern most of the time, gotten very close with the Annapolis Police Department, who has a liaison. We work very well together, and I would say we probably talk once or twice a week, just the two of us do. But in my research, I know that Baltimore County has a liaison, Baltimore City has a liaison, Howard, Montgomery. So pretty much all of our surrounding counties have the liaison position. And that's one of my goals, is to try to get us together, whether it's Zoom or in person, on a more regular basis. Right now, it's just kind of like reaching out one-on-one, or like, hey, I got something going on close to the Howard Anne Arundel line. Do you want to work on it together, or something like that? But that's one of my ultimate goals, is to be able to kind of bring us all together. As I mentioned, there's never a bad idea to have more resources than what you have. So, yeah. And honestly, I went to a training in Orlando 2 weeks ago that was solely for LGBTQ liaison police officers, and I was shocked to see some of the agencies, big and small, from all over the country that came together in this one place to kind of network and talk about our positions. And just to brag for a second about our agency, I would say out of the 50 of us that were at that conference, Anne Arundel County was probably one of the more progressive agencies when it comes to the position and everything that we've done thus far. So that was very humbling for me to see, hey, our work doesn't go unnoticed. And, I love to help other people that are still, toying around with the idea or trying to get approval from their chief to start the program. I'm a resource for them to get the ball rolling with that. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Any other questions from board members? No?
And obviously, my contact information was there too. So if you think of something, you can certainly reach out after the fact.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that presentation. Very, very informative. And thank you for taking the time to meet with us this evening. You are obviously more than welcome to stay, but if you leave, we will not be offended. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, so I noticed one more person joined as an attendee, so I just wanted to last call for public comment. If there was anyone that wanted to provide public comment at this time. I know we moved a little quickly through the introduction and the minute approval. All right, I don't see anyone. Okay, so we'll move on to our agenda. So we have our law enforcement agency quarterly updates today. Thank you all for being here. Greatly appreciate it. Just as a friendly reminder, the board asks that you keep your reports to about 15 minutes or less. And we ask that you cover, as applicable, the total number of complaints you've received since July 1 of 2022, and that is when the new law went into effect. And if there have been any reports since the last time we met in March, was it March? March. And just a brief summary of the types of complaints that you are seeing, any trends that you're seeing as an agency. We're also asking if there are any compliments that you've received. I know we've heard that from some of the agencies in the past. Any community engagement that you've participated since you were last before the board. And obviously any other relevant information that you think would be helpful for us to know about. So whether it's related to complaints of alleged police misconduct or not, if you're out in the community, any trainings, any collaborations, we would like to hear that. So we will move on to Anne Arundel County Community College. We have Lieutenant Donato this evening. Thank you so much for being here. The floor is yours.
Can you hear me? Perfect. Okay, I'm on my phone and I'm actually off duty at home, so bear with me. And my dog is trying to participate as well, so he may have some points. We still are 0 complaints. I thought we were going to have a complaint recently. Chief Caphammer did a basic investigation. It was not a complaint on the agency. It was more of a collegiate thing, so it's been resolved. As far as engagement, we're still doing the same things. We have a RAD officer. We've promoted some anti-crime measures, people leaving their cars unlocked, stuff like that. But we've had a good track record. Obviously, we don't have as traditional a role as maybe Anne Arundel County with proactive enforcement, which probably keeps the chances of complaints down. But you can do everything right and still get a complaint. You can do everything wrong and not. There's a part of it is luck. I think our people are ingrained in the service aspect of law enforcement. And because of that, and because of the fact we give respect, we just haven't had one. I can't pinpoint a specific initiative or training part, but in general, our staff are well trained, they're patient, and I think a part of it is the work environment. They're not overstressed, they're not overburdened, and they're able to take their time with people. So there's no problem too small, and we give every complaint or incident all due course. And we're respectful. So we give what we get. I don't really think there's anything else I could say about it. The one complaint was more focused on a person's perception of the college and inequity toward them. But when called, that person gave the agency praise. And that's an example of what I'm talking about. This wasn't a crime. This was someone that had a financial aid problem. And we still took a lot of time to help that person out. And unfortunately, some problems we can't solve. We try to mediate. I guess it's the best term. We mediate. And that's where we are now. But we have not had a complaint yet.
All right. Thank you so much for that information. Are there any questions from board members? I do have a question. Are you finding, I know with the community college, there's still online learning and hybrid learning. Are you finding that you're getting more students? Is it getting to the number of students and people on campus that were pre-COVID, or is it still a little bit on the lighter side as far as like having students on campus?
I think population wise, during the daytime, it's getting back to that level. I'm the evening shift commander, so I don't see as much.
Right.
But we have a health sciences building, and our Clawson Center is more focused on HVAC and plumbing and heating stuff. So we're seeing a population draw to those. So we are getting back to traditional numbers. But I think 21st century learning is going to be a medley. People are going to learn from home. People are more comfortable in their pajamas sometimes. But we are seeing more people on campus, and that's why we're pushing the concept of locking your car and not leaving stuff in the car, because once you have more people, you're gonna see a spike in crime. You're gonna see a spike in car accidents, thefts, etc. It's just the nature of the game.
Thank you. And it's good to hear that you all are already taking kind of proactive measures to inform, the population of students and the staff, etc., about the things that they should be doing to stay safe. So that was my question. Any other questions? All right. Well, Thank you so much. I did want to mention, so let me say it while everyone's here. We have board members that are leaving, which means that we will be having new board members joining us in July. And so all of your chiefs will be getting an email from me in the near future, inviting them to the September meeting, just to introduce themselves to the new members. So you might want to give them a heads up about that. So wanted to give them, a few months in advance so they can put it on their schedule just so that they can meet the new members and the new members can meet them. So just an FYI on that. But
Yes,
thank you, Lieutenant Donato. Nice to see you this evening. And again, you're welcome to stay, but we will not be offended if you leave.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening. All right, next we have Chief Jet from Crofton Police Department. Welcome.
Can everybody hear me? Sorry for the lights out earlier. They replaced my bulbs in here, and it's like I'm getting a suntan by these things, and it like glares in the camera, so I had to turn everything around. But no, I hope summer's finding everybody well. Little hot temperatures out there, but a little break today. But since our last meeting, we did have one complaint. It was in reference to a traffic stop where the complainant believed because window tint was on his windows, it wasn't a primary reason for the stop. So, which unfortunately is not true. In which I informed him of the law. I actually did a little investigation, called our complainant on the phone, explained the laws to him and so forth and so on. He once again said he didn't want to get anybody in trouble over this, and he was willing to drop the complaint. So we left it in-house, and it was handled internally at that time. Although the PAB was notified, it didn't go to the ACC level. So that's the only one we have had. I think we've had 3 total since this has totally kicked off. So once again, we're on the lower side of things too, but we're still so much about community policing here and being out into the public and doing our jobs here, that everybody sees us on a daily basis. We try to form that bond with the community, that we're, here to help you and do whatever we can do. But also just some of the things we've been involved in. I know school was finally, let out not too long ago, but John and I, my Sergeant Sims, we've been really in our elementary schools big time, trying to, get to our youth and talk to our youth. And both of us, although we don't consider ourselves school resource officers, we kind of are now in a certain degree. So it really has been an awesome experience for us because we have 2 schools within like a mile of each other, elementary schools that are just right on top of each other. And really there's probably 5 within a couple of miles of each other. So it's really interesting how the Crofton community works out with all these schools, but we've taken over the ones in our community and we're loving it. And it's been a friendly competition between me and Sergeant Sims in both schools. So it's been a lot of fun. We handled our festival on the green, Kiwanis 5-10K run, which we, escort all the runners around the parkway here. Our summer concert series is in effect. Some of our upcoming events, we have the Crofton Pride Parade, which I'm sure we'll see Corporal Stanley there, correct? We're handling the parade side of it, and there's a resource fair afterwards at the Crofton Elementary School, so should be a good time. We have a big Kids Fest coming up July 13th too, and that's at Village Green that we're all looking forward to. Sent some of my guys recently to the Anne Arundel County Police CIT training, which you guys are familiar with. I mean, it's just an awesome program because we're having somewhat of an uptick in mental crisis in our community. So we're really trying to make sure our guys are on top of it. And we just hired a retired Anne Arundel County officer that was big on CIT and was in CIT when he was there. So it also helps us out here because he has so much knowledge and can help us with that. So we're really grateful to have him on board. And speaking of that, I'm finally full staff. So we're very happy about that. I do have one out on medical till July, but we're technically full staff. So, I mean, hallelujah. We're just so happy about that. So, it's taken up a lot of our time trying to find the right qualified applicants going through the process. But I have a good team right now, and I'm very pleased with where we're sitting right now. We do get compliments quite often for one of our corporals. It's kind of funny though, because he's very community oriented, but he always tells people always compliment him. And he's always like, well, write an email to my chief and let me know what's going on. And I get bombarded with them. I do. It's funny, but I mean, he's really out there doing a good job. And he's a younger guy, and our agency is kind of more like, I hate to say it, but it's more of a retired police officer's kind of job because they've already done their thing and there's no pension here. It's kind of one of those, whatever, but he's a young guy and he gets out there and he runs circles around us. So, but we love to have that because it's such a good mix in the community. It really is. So But really, that's all I have for right now. But like I said, just the one complaint, we handle it internally, and that's it. Any questions I'm willing to take.
Thank you, Chief Jett, and I know that I can speak for the board that we're happy for you that you are fully staffed. I know it's been, some time and trying to get, your department fully staffed, so that's great to hear. Any questions for Chief Jett? All right, well, thank you so much. Again, you're welcome to stay, and also will not be hurt feelings if you leave the meeting. We will see you in a few months. All right, next we have the Anne Arundel County Sheriff's Office, Captain Vannersdale and Corporal Gross, I believe. Good evening, good to see you.
Thank you. Hello.
All right, the floor is yours. Thank you.
The Anne Arundel County Sheriff's Office has received a total of 31 citizen complaints of misconduct involving members of the public since July 1st, 2022. Included in the 31 citizen complaints are 3 complaints of misconduct received since the March 2024 board meeting. The context of our complaints are as follows. The first one, the citizen complaint of a deputy exceeding the posted speed limit. The second one is a citizen's complaint of deputies requesting animal control to impound a dog without cause. And the third one is a citizen complaint of a deputy passing their vehicle in a turn-only lane. Reporting trends suggest complaints involving procedural violations. Since the last quarterly meeting, the Anne Arundel County Sheriff's Office participated in community-based programs, including, but not limited to, Sheriff's Office Career Day, Armed Forces First Responders Parade, Pride Parade, Cedar Hill, Morris Hill Community Day, Ferndale Day, and Special Olympics of Maryland Law Enforcement Torch Run. And there's no relevant information relating to alleged police misconduct or police reform.
All right, thank you so much. And I love your report. I love the letter that you send us. Just makes me, my efficient, OCD self very, very happy. So thank you for that information. Really helpful.
Thank you.
To have that. Are there any questions from board members? I don't see any questions. I do have a question. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Sheriff's Career Day? What does that entail?
From what I understand, I wasn't there unfortunately, but it's typically where the sheriff's office goes out to a location and provides information in reference to the organization and represents our career day to try to solicit additional employees for the sheriff's office and focus upon community events as this particular community event. Sheriff Seska wants us to get out there as much as we can. And this is just an example of the sheriff's office participating in a community-based program.
Awesome, thank you. That's really informative. It's great to hear. All right, well, we don't have any more questions for you. So thank you again for being here this evening, and you are welcome to stay or not stay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have Miss Rhonda McCoy with the Annapolis Police Department. The floor is yours.
Right. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
I too am home after a very early day today. I got in very, very early. Good evening, everyone. I want to tell all the members, especially big ups and shout outs to Sarah, who I know did the double deuce. And we appreciate your service, Sarah, very, very much. And I wish you all well. And thank you, so much, because we were, Sarah, we were like kind of for a little bit flying the ship while we were building it. And so, we appreciate you. We appreciate you. We appreciate your service. But getting into our report, the Annapolis Police Department since 2022, we've had 35 cases, 2 since March last year. Since we last met in March, those cases entail someone complaining that an officer did not give them the proper information when they took their report. And another complained that an officer did not follow up in time, or did not follow up appropriately with them when they made a uh, when they had an incident. Um, we received 3 compliments, some of which we sent to you guys, which, was, very exciting. And, we're happy always when I get them. I try to pass them on to you guys so you can read them and see the good work that our officers are doing. Some of our community events included April 20th, Saturday. I don't know whether you all know, but the NAACP holds a meeting at the Annapolis Police Department, a monthly meeting. So we presented to them as a department then. And I'm sorry that you guys weren't able to attend. I know it was kind of short notice when they were, kind of like giving us the dates. But we look forward to inviting you again when we do a presentation. We plan on doing one maybe late summer, early fall, another presentation for them. And you guys will get an invitation well before that. That went very, very well, being able to explain kind of crime trends, and then going over, because a lot of them still didn't know about the process for adjudication of misconduct cases. So it was very exciting, and I took on a whole lot of questions about the process. So it will be exciting to have you guys come, and if they have more than and the NAACP personnel showed up, some community members showed up. It'll be very, very nice to have 1 or 2 of you come, or all, and present to them and tell them what the important work that we're doing. We also participated in Juneteenth and in Pride Month, and we've had a myriad of other things like our fishing for the kids. And we have a very, very active community group. And we have PAL, they're going to really start, they're doing boxing, and, they're doing some other things. And we're working with groups like Seeds for Success, to try to get volunteers in for their reading program. So we are doing a myriad of different things. We had made 118. We're scheduled or slotted for 124 officers. We got to 108. We got to 118, but unfortunately, by the end of the year, we'll lose 10 people to retirements. It's we're back in the struggle again, trying to, recruit up and get people in. And now to the unpleasantries. You all should have received a letter we sent to Jeanette from Chief Jackson. I'm just going to read it in for you, what he said. Dear board members, I am writing this correspondence to address struggles the department has experienced with getting misconduct cases through the system and to the Administrative Charging Committee, ACC. In recent months, cases originating from within individual commands and investigated there have averaged 7 to 8 months to complete, and there has been 2 or 3 months time frame for final approval. There is a myriad of reasons for the delays, all of which are unacceptable. I have taken the following steps to shorten the time frame for full completion and submission of misconduct cases to the ACC from 11 and a half months to 6 months. A second civilian investigator will be hired to handle command level investigations. Until the new investigator is hired, all command cases must be submitted for review to the commander in 60 days, unless the investigator can plausibly justify a reason for a 30-day extension. All commanders must review misconduct cases within 30 days of submission to them for review, to include senior level commanders, which would mean myself, the other two captains, and Major Branford. All cases submitted for my final review will be completed in 60 days. I am confident that the measures I have set in place will solve the current issues and restore the efficiency in handling misconduct complaints. I thank the board for its support and its assistance. Yes, we have been struggling. We have been struggling at that command level. We've, at times had to kick cases back down to them when they come up. When we get the complaint straight into IA, there's kind of like a 6-month turnaround until we get it to the board. And there's a shorter level of approval. It goes from the investigator to the lieutenant to me, then on to the major and the chief. When it comes from the command level, it goes from the sergeant, it goes to the lieutenant, then it goes to the commander, then it goes to my lieutenant, then it goes to the lieutenant who works for me, then it comes to me, then it goes to the major and Chief Jackson. Obviously, this system is not working. And the time frame in which people are keeping the cases in their basket, again, as Chief Jackson said, is unacceptable. So, we came up with a plan. I believe this plan is going to work. Number one, getting the cases and Sarah can attest to that, in a set format where we're all using the same format, because when they come in from command, when they go to the ACC, a lot of times that, we kick them back because we understand that they're not going to understand it. Like, there's too much, they're so used to writing for, when they did those cases themselves, to writing for themselves, writing for police. And, a lot of jargon in there. And, so we had to say like, hey, we need you to write kind of concisely, get it back to us, put hyperlinks in, where we understand that these are volunteer positions with the ACC, and they don't necessarily, we have to, when we go through, that's my job to go through and look at the videos, and they're not hyperlinked when they come to me. I have to, I read the investigation, then I look at the videos, then I do this, do this, do this. We try to streamline the things for the ACC and hyperlink the cases all in. So sometimes we have to send them back to say, put your hyperlinks in, and all of this just is taking too much time. And we want to get cases through. We think that will solve the the issues and problems. I'm hopeful. We should. I'm interviewing people right as we speak for that new position, which will be another civilian position, which I'm very grateful for. And one thing that I did miss in my recap is we do have 3 of the cases going to trial boards, administrative hearings. And that in itself was a challenge. It was, just to, to let you guys know, so you can send it out in your reports, that it was really hard to get that, it took months and months for us to get an MOU with OAJ. And then, once we got the MOU with OAJ, then we had to do an MOU with the county. Then getting the scheduling is a big thing. Especially you have 3 trial boards, and then get everybody scheduled to agree. We have a center where we hold the trial boards. We don't hold them at we're not going to hold them at the police department, obviously. It's too small. We don't have the parking, and they have to be accessible to the public. So we have them at Pitt Moyer, just, getting, the dates for Pitt Moyer, getting a judge, getting the our attorney, who's an outside attorney, to marry up dates, then getting the civilian to marry up updates, which you guys select, and then the officer's attorney is, it's enough. It's enough. But we have dates. We're scheduled for August. I'm happy, and hopefully I'll be reporting to you that they're done. And we've gone through it, but just to let you know, so you guys can report out when you do talk to the legislature, this is very taxing. And that is all.
Thank you so much for the update and the information. And yes, we received the letter and we appreciate the proactive steps that are being taken to address the concern, because I know that the ACC has had some cases where they had very little turnaround time to review. And so obviously in the interest of them doing their work in the most efficient and thorough manner, any steps that any agency can take to ensure that they have adequate time to conduct their review is appreciated and helpful. And I think, in line with the spirit of what we're all trying to do here. So definitely appreciate the steps that are being taken. Are there any questions for Ms. McCoy? See Cedric's hand.
Ms. McCoy, just a quick question and a comment. First, really appreciate the transparency in the correspondence that you sent to us to review. So that acknowledgement, that means a lot, and it does mean a lot. I did want to ask you a question about best practices with your internal procedures. Have you looked at any other agencies that are same size, similar challenges that could maybe assist with some best practices or do you think you're already on the right track to achieve the outcomes that you're looking for?
So we did, look at some best practices, and that's why we're kind of like going with that, well, I call them a command investigator, but that hiring that second investigator. Either the agencies our size are letting everything come through IA, or if they do have a bifurcated system like we do, Sarah can attest to that. Coming from Baltimore City, they had command investigators at the district level, and then you had your IA cases. So this is the marrying of the two. When we hire that person, what we plan to do is that person is going to be assigned under me, but they're going to work down there in the command. And once a complaint is received, it's not going to absolve the sergeants from, doing their due diligence. They'll take the complaints, they'll still do, the interviewing and the initial investigation, and then they'll forward it to that command investigator. That person will make sure that the cases are in the proper format, the format that we want to go over to the ACC, so we're consistent, and that the timeframes are met. And so that is kind of like a best practice there, to have an investigator do those cases and not have individual sergeants investigate those type of cases, which is what happens here, to streamline everything through IA.
Thank you. I see Sarah's hand up.
Yeah, so Rhonda, I do too appreciate your transparency. As you said, I witnessed the struggle. It's been difficult. And you guys have come a long way. I do think that some of the problems is the consistency in the reports. And I think that the great thing about the PAB and this opportunity is we have several police departments here, and I feel like we're all in this together. Like there are several police departments and we have a really large, well put together Anne Arundel County Police Department. And I have read dozens of their reports, and they seem to be putting together a really good product. So my question is for you, and it's also for Anne Arundel County, and I think they're still on this call. Have you reached out to them, and is there an opportunity for them to come in and show your team how to put together the format that they're using? Because that's the puzzle piece that I believe you're missing, is the consistency that they have, maybe the template that they have in their reports needs to be shared with your team, or just the pattern of how they're doing theirs has to be universal. So if you guys are all doing the same thing, then because the struggle is going to be when the new people go onto the ACC to take my spot and the other person that took the last person's spot, you're going to have that same struggle of having to teach the people the process. And if it was consistent, it would catch on quicker. So it is going to be a little bit of a struggle. So I guess, have you leaned into Anne Arundel County, and is Anne Arundel County willing to come over and help you? Because we're all part of the same county. We're all in this together for the same reason.
What I can tell you, Sarah, is Captain Schultz and I are joined at the hip. And he is my good partner in this. And there is, not most things that, I call, ask his advice or ask him about, things, and he is always willing to help. One of the big things that, I again, because I have that same thing that Jeanette has, that OCD, where, it drives me crazy that, all these cases are coming up and they're all like, different. They don't have a format from like uh whatever sergeant investigates them, or even from like even if they're on the same shift, they all come up so different. And then we're kicking it back to say like, hey, you got to do this, or you got to add this or that. And I think that consistency will be, as you said, our friend. Once we get that person hired, which I'm trying to do in a very short amount of time, I definitely will make arrangements with Captain Schultz and or ask him for his format beforehand and kind of train into that. So we're all on the same, sheet of music. We kind of the idea for the hyperlinks actually came from Anne Arundel County giving us that idea. So, we do share information. And so I'm pretty sure he's going to come on next, and that I'm relatively sure that he will share his format with me, and I'm happy to use it, because as you can see, I was not happy about the I'm not happy about the inconsistency, and I'm certainly not happy to keep kicking cases, like back and forth until we get them right, so you guys can, can read them easy and not have a struggle, especially since they're under a certain amount of time. And you don't have all this time to be looking at videos or trying to figure out, this or that.
Thank you. I see Sean's hand raised.
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing. You sparked a thought that with, collaborating with Anne Arundel County and getting their template. But I also think there's probably some consideration for some ongoing training with the sergeants and officers for that write-up that may need to be put in place as well. Just something to think about. But great job. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. All right, I don't see any other questions. Thank you again for being here this evening, Rhonda. And again, welcome to stay, but certainly do not have to stay. And
No,
then
I'm going to stay to see that Tim said, when he tells you all that he's going to help me,
So give him the eye. Last but certainly not least, we have the Anne Arundel County Police Department. We have Captain Schultz and Lieutenant Ott. Welcome, and the floor is yours.
Good evening. Good evening. And Rhonda, I hear you. And just so everybody on the board and the panel this evening knows that yes, Rhonda and I speak frequently. And my goal tonight, I have Lieutenant Ott on the call as well. And he is the brains behind the operation for us. He's one of the people that helped develop the template that we have. He works with Axon standards. We're actually trying to probably convert over at some point over to using their system. It's a kind of a newer technology. IA Pro is what a lot of agencies use right now, but Axon standards partners and integrates so well with evidence.com. And I think that people like Sarah and members of the ACC have really come to appreciate what evidence.com can do. And so one of the things I was going to do tonight was, before I do go over the report with you, I'm going to have Lieutenant Ott go over that. I wanted to take an opportunity to talk to you about our first trial board process, because it was an overwhelming success. So as much as I know that Rhonda talked about kind of where we are with everybody collaborating together on our training, I certainly believe wholeheartedly in all the training, and as soon as we are able to get certain things like moving over to Axon standards in the future, we'll certainly incorporate everyone in any training that we're going to do. And Rhonda, that door is always open. It's open to everybody that wants to give us a call, and we'll absolutely share any information we can with you. But for our first trial board process, although I can't discuss the outcome just yet because we're still waiting on the law judge to get us that final decision report, which should be coming to us in probably about a week or so. I communicated with him this morning. I will say that I have to agree with Rhonda that up front, the process was a little slow for us. And it was only because the law, although it was designed to give us a general guideline on what we're supposed to do, the playbook wasn't really designed. So people that really were instrumental in that was Miss Panda, Miss Rogers on our side, the Office of Law. Tom, I see you're on the call. Thank you for reviewing all of that information. And anybody else that was part of that process in developing the memorandum of agreement with us. Travis, I know, was a huge part of that. He built that a lot while I was away at the FBI Academy. And then also I wanted to recognize, I know we've already talked about the Office of Administrative Hearings. They did a lot to work with us on that. And there was a lot of back and forth. So a lot of things that you didn't see that went on behind the scenes to develop that memorandum of agreement. And really what I look at that is I say it's a playbook. And that really helps the law judge. And what I want to tell you is there was tremendous feedback from the law judge that did our hearing, and the community member also that represented on our hearing board, our trial board, and the officer of equal rank. Everybody gave us tremendous feedback and said that they really appreciated the courtroom setup that we have. So, and again, anybody that's on this call that wants to kind of come see how we laid that out, the law judge said that was very well organized. He also commented specifically on the way we utilize technology in our hearing board, specifically evidence.com, the way that our detectives were able to go in and out of the case files. So anybody I know from the ACC, they've seen how we present information in our case files and how we do that in a digital format. These are things for someone of my generation. They call me Captain Caveman for a reason. I don't love technology, but at the same time, I've come to appreciate what we can do with it. And so those of us that have come to appreciate it or do utilize it the way that we should, the law judge really commented on how the ease of operation and the efficiency in which we were able to display that information. I do also want to say that I know we did our very best to put the information out on social media about our hearing, but I know that there were some that were not informed about the fact that we had it out there, and then we also then had to close the hearing. And I wanted to explain that just a little bit in case you didn't see the information or didn't understand what the information was about. Although I can't go into great detail about it, there are some nuances of the new law that talk about the fact that we may close a meeting to the public. It's not common, and I don't foresee it being a common thing, but it talks about with certain exceptions to protect a victim's identity, a person's privacy. And again, I think that would have to be very specific and something that we would talk to Tom and his team about in the Office of Law and also the law judge about. A child witness, medical records, the identity of a confidential source, an investigative technique or procedure, or the life or physical safety of an individual. And these are all things, I know those are rather broad categories, but I just want everyone to understand that those things were taken into consideration. A pretty important meeting was held and a discussion was had about whether or not to close that meeting for a very specific reason. And that is, again, something not common. I've been here for 4 years as the commander and 3 years as a sergeant, and I never have seen a meeting get closed. Now, the law is new, so will those things be considered at a different level? I'm not sure, but I don't foresee a lot of trial boards being closed to the public in the future. So I do want to give Lieutenant Ott an opportunity to go over our report, but I will say that from our community members, some feedback, they brought a lot of diversity. And the other thing I think that they brought was an understanding of the impact that an officer's action might have on the community. And if you look at the matrix, that's one of the things that we rely on heavily is we have to report sometimes to the chief, or we have to report out to our command staff about what we believe the impact to the community might be. And I know that the ACC, someone like Sarah might really be able to better understand this about what is the impact, and having a member of the community there to be able to say, no, this is the impact. I am the community. They're the face of the community, was very helpful. And then the officer of equal rank was invaluable, because the law judge actually wrote me an email and said having that officer's perspective there was extremely helpful. But overall, the law judge provided an immense amount of trust to us. Just an incredible amount of command of that process, having a law judge there to really understand the nuances of the law, having been a chairperson of a board myself and knowing that role, and having a law judge be able to understand that and be able to field both sides objections from the counsel on both sides of that, and really truly understand and not have to take breaks and rely on counsel that's in the room, and to be able to field those things on their own was tremendous for me. It was a very enlightening process for me to watch, and I made sure that the law judge knew afterwards that they did an incredible job. So I look forward to the process in the future, and I know our union and our command staff was very impressed. So again, thank you for everybody that has encouraged this process and has been a part of it. And I think I'll close with that and turn it over to Lieutenant Ott for an overview.
Good evening, members of the board. So since our inception of the MPAA, July 1, 2022, our tally is now at 130 complaints of allegations of police misconduct. Of those, 92 involved a member of the public. Since our last report out at the last quarterly meeting, we've received 11 more complaints with allegations of police misconduct that have turned into investigations. We've been able to go live with our complaint mediation process through the MPCTC and COMAR. I can report that we've had one complaint successfully resolved through that mediation process. In addition to that, we've had 9 formal employee compliments that have come through the system and have gone out to the officers. Touching on Rhonda's point, for us, the command level reviews for us are typically things that come through internal affairs that we screen out, don't appear to have any misconduct related, but maybe a performance or an explanation of procedure and law. So we let the command level lieutenants handle that. Should they uncover misconduct through further discussion with the citizen, we bring them back in to internal affairs and we'll do those investigations. Trend-wise, mostly what we're seeing is courtesy-related complaints and just overall performance and adherence to investigative procedures. Just a trend. I wouldn't really call it a consistent trend, but just that's the majority of what we're seeing as far as complaints go. Other than that, that's our report out on data, and open to any questions that the board might have.
Thank you. Are there any questions from board members? All right, I don't.
One quick question, Lieutenant Ott, if possible. Can you explain the mediation process, or perhaps that's a question for Tom, just a quick overview? I think the public could access this meeting and they may not be familiar with the mediation process.
Yep. So I believe it was last summer, the Training Commission altered regulations to allow for complaints to be resolved through mediation. We partner with the AACRC, the Conflict Resolution Center in Arundel County. Worked a lot with them to form an MOU of what complaints can be diverted. There's certain category levels, so not serious complaints aren't getting shuffled to the side. We're talking low level, category A, B, courtesy type things, misunderstandings. And that community member and the officer will go down, participate in that. It is confidential. So to that question of how it goes, what it looks like and what goes on, I can't answer that. Promised all the officers and the community members it would remain that way. But I know in that one, I did follow back up with the officer, and that particular person was satisfied, thought it was enlightening and on both ends successful. So we think it's a good option for certain type complaints that come in that benefit both the officer and the community member. So we're happy with it so far.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I just had a question. Do you, with the complaints about conduct or like just general kind of, satisfaction with their interaction, is there any kind of demographics or like race, ethnicity of the complainant or of the officer that could give you any like trends? And we do that with like when we get patient satisfaction kind of complaints at the hospital. Like sometimes there's just we might get more complaints about women being assertive, or we might get more complaints. So I'm just curious if any of that data is drilled down into more.
We have the data. I haven't known anything that's established itself as a trend of concern. But I will take that feedback when we do our year-end reporting, and it's worth looking into a little bit more to see if there's any either which way the data is pointing.
Thank you. That's a good point, Danny, to just look, from that perspective. Are you getting certain members of the community that you're seeing complaints more often, certain types of complaints, and kind of drilling into like what that could mean, or maybe some things that training could help address. But that's a good
And Daniel, to that point, I think at our year-end reporting as overall, the overall Anne Arundel County report that we get that Jen produces, I think we could certainly drill down on that data. And I mean, obviously, as Anne Arundel County as a whole, we obviously know we're a large agency, so we're going to have the majority of those complaints, and whether sustained or not sustained. So those are things that we can look into, and then we'll also collaborate with Jen on that and see if we can find anything there. A good question. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is something that maybe we could, include in or look at a little bit differently in our annual reports. That's a good point, Captain.
And also, Daniel, if you guys have anything on that as far as what you guys do in response to that, please shoot me an email. Like if you generate a trend or a pattern, or if there's something there and there's someone we can collaborate with on how they respond to that training wise, or from a performance basis where they can improve, we'll certainly take the feedback too.
Sure, I can pull some stuff together. So a part of my job is running Pathways Treatment Center for Luminous, and so a lot of times we get complaints about minority staff or women's staff setting boundaries with patients, and the complaints will have a trend about certain staff members, and it's like if it's a white man, it doesn't seem to be a complaint, but if it's a Black female, we get a complaint about it. So I'm just trying to, sometimes it's just in our analysis we use that, and we decide how we respond to it in a certain way, or different way, or what we take seriously versus what we kind of look at more critically, But I'll pull some of it.
Well, I will say I just had some interaction with I had a family member that was involved heavily with Luminous. I had to be there at the emergency room for quite a while, and I will say Luminous Healthcare and the people that were involved in the emergency room and the whole hospital staff was absolutely wonderful. So whatever they're doing, and that's a challenging environment. And I was there for probably 36 hours. And I was present the whole time, and I've always had obviously an immense respect for the medical community, but having to see that over the course of about a week, just the constant involvement and the kind of the bombardment of it's similar to what police officers and the first responders go through, but it was the next level of care and a lot of those things that once we pass sometimes a patient off, whether it's a medic or an officer passes off, maybe it's an evaluee, seeing that next level was really, really impressive to me. So if you have anything, please let me know.
Thank you.
I dropped off a compliment at the end of my time there because I was really impressed with about 10 people that I saw.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you again for being with us this evening and for sharing that very informative information. And we will see you in a few months. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Next on our agenda, announcements. As I stated when we began the meeting, this is the last meeting for board members Sarah, Kimberly, and Barney. So thank you again for your service and your time on the board. Your perspectives have all been extremely helpful and beneficial as we started this process a couple of years ago, with something very new here in the state of Maryland. So we hope you stay in touch and we are very grateful for your time on the board. Just to let everybody else know, I mentioned we do have a new PAB members and a new ACC member. So they were confirmed by the county council last week. And we will see our new PAB members at the next meeting, which is August 26th. Is that correct, Jen?
That's correct.
All right, we do not have a July meeting. So the August 26th meeting, we will see our new PAB members, and which is why I will be asking the chiefs to be at the next quarterly law enforcement agency update in September so they could meet the new members. That was it as far as announcements. Jen, did you have anything else for us?
I do not have anything else. No, thank you.
All right, there's nothing else. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I so move.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thanks so much, Tom and Jen, for being here with us this evening as well. Everyone have a wonderful rest of June and month of July, and we'll see you at the end of August, which will basically be summer over. And then Kim and Sarah, don't be strangers. We will miss you. Have a good night. Thank you. This meeting's adjourned.